It's Monday. Happy Monday. I'm excited to be here with you. I am looking forward to connecting with you. If you are watching this, you most likely need to hear it or know someone that has herpes or were just diagnosed with herpes or someone living with herpes. It's my intention to be here as a support in order to answer your questions, support you through your herpes diagnosis, help you with a community or find a community that can best support you through your diagnosis. So this is your opportunity to ask your questions when it comes to what it's like to live with herpes, what is herpes, how do you deal with transmission, how do you deal with disclosure, how do you deal with becoming a parent, a mommy, where did you get it from? Oral herpes, genital herpes. So this is your opportunity to ask your question. Again, thank you for your follows. Again, if you know someone that needs to hear this information, please feel free to share it with them. That's why I'm here. I'm here to create, thank you for the hearts too. Just again, to support everybody that has been diagnosed with herpes. Something that's very, very interesting is 2 out of 3 people have HSV1, which is most commonly known as oral herpes. So that's 2 out of 3 people. It's very, very significant. And that's I'm actually not in my 40s, but thank you for telling me I look amazing. So 2 out of 3 people have HSV1. So, that's a lot of people. So if you think of like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one that has herpes. I'm the only one that has herpes. Think about just 3 people, 3 friends, 3 people you dated, 3 relatives, 3 people, be in an elevator with 3 other people. Know that 2 out of 3 of those people statistically have HSV1. That can be HSV1 oral, or it can also be HSV1 genital. So there's a lot of people with HSV1. Now, when we talk about HSV2, it's commonly known as genital herpes down there. 1 out of 6 people statistically have it. Sometimes I'll read statistics that say 1 out of 5. So thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I'm actually 39. I'm not in my 40s yet, but thank you. So yeah, 1 out of 6 people have HSV2. Now that can be oral or genital, but I just like to think about that. So next time you're in a yoga class, next time you're in a spinning class, next time you're in a work meeting, next time you're in whatever, at a friend's birthday party, whatever it is that you're doing, if there's more than 6 people in there, technically, statistically, 1 out of 6 has HSV2. Then I also like to play the game, okay, if of those 6 people, if they're married, then that's 12 people that are in the math equation here, right? So for sure, one of them or their partner has HSV2. So, okay, I have lots of questions here. I really want to get through them. I like to go in order, but I have one that just popped up that said, maybe you should have been more careful. So I really want to address this. Maybe I personally should have, maybe I personally should not have. We can get into my personal story if you want, but if you were just listening, there's a lot of people living with herpes, whether it's oral or genital, whether it's HSV1 or HSV2. And with that being said, it's so common to come across someone. So you could technically be a virgin and marry somebody who is also a virgin who has oral herpes that then uses their mouth on you down there and you get genital herpes. So herpes is so common. That's part of the stigma. People believe that we get it because we are promiscuous. I can use the argument, and 100% correct. If somebody sleeps with 100 people, they're far more likely to come across or be diagnosed with genital herpes. Obviously, it's a numbers game at some point, but you're just as likely to come across it, even being with one person. With the statistics I'm saying, 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 and 1 of 6 have HSV2. So you can be in a monogamous relationship and get it. You can be quote unquote a virgin and get it. You can have all these. You can wait till you're married and get it. You can be promiscuous and get it, or you could not be promiscuous and get it. So I just wanted to share that. I'm very passionate when people like to shame the stigma, because that is part of it. Maybe just don't sleep around unprotected and you would not have herpes. I'm gonna talk about that one as well. So a condom actually only protects you 30 to 50% of the time. I'm gonna say that again, 30 to 50% of the time, a condom's gonna protect you. So just like you said, hey, maybe if you would have used a condom, you wouldn't have gotten it. Maybe that's the case for me, maybe it's not. But when we're only using them correctly, half the time, and the herpes virus can be on your mouth, it can be in other parts of your body, so just using a condom doesn't protect you. We are taught to believe, we're taught to believe that, again, just use a condom and you're fine. It doesn't protect you from other STIs. It doesn't protect you necessarily from a lot of things. It helps. It definitely is a positive. Like, we absolutely should use condoms if we're in a non-monogamous relationship and if we're out there. Absolutely. But it has nothing to do. Yeah. So anyways, I just want to destigmatize those two comments saying that maybe I shouldn't have slept around and maybe I should have used a condom. I also like to use the example, guys. How many of us would randomly go up to a person and like eat the rest of their cheeseburger at a bar? Probably not, right? But we will have unprotected sex, or we will have oral sex unprotected, thinking that like, oh, well, it's safe. Well, oral sex, you can still transmit pretty much any STI as you could using vaginal or regular sex. Yeah, but you shouldn't have been sleeping around. It's very interesting. I normally don't get these comments from you guys. And I normally get a very warm, welcoming community here. I'm actually really enjoying these, like, you shouldn't have slept around, or you should have used a condom, and all these things, because it really gives me an opportunity to help debunk, destigmatize, and deconstruct really what herpes is about. So yeah, before I got herpes, did I believe that you got it from sleeping around? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I believe that? That's what we're told. Or I know who has it. I know why they have it. Yeah, of course that person has it. Obviously that person has it, right? We become very judgy. We become very part of the stigma. Now that I have herpes, now that I know how many people have herpes, and I know that if people that don't have herpes went and got tested, they would probably end up with herpes because most people are asymptomatic. 90% of the people living with genital herpes, 90% of the people living with genital herpes don't know they have it. You're not trying to normalize herpes. I actually am trying to normalize herpes. It is extremely common and extremely normal. I bet if you went and got tested, Hannah, you would probably come back with one type, either type 1 or type 2. So chances are, Hannah, you've actually slept with somebody that has herpes, because it is so common. If you've kissed more than 2 people, 2 out of 3 people actually have HSV1, that's herpes. If you've slept with more than 6 people, you've come across someone with herpes. If you've received oral sex from more than 3 people, 2 out of those 3 people technically have cold sores, which is a form of herpes. So herpes is HSV1, it's HSV2. There are commonly known as cold sores, fever blisters. Cold sores and fever blisters are herpes. They are contagious, and you can be transmitted unknowingly, whether it's sexual or not sexual. You can get it from kissing. You can get it from kissing a relative. You can get it from sharing a drink. So it's extremely, extremely common to have herpes. And there's so many people that go into relationships having been careful. They go and get tested. They go and get the STI test done, but herpes isn't included in the STI panels. So you can have so many people going and getting tested and saying like, hey, I'm being a responsibly sexually active adult, which most people are not. But let's say you are a responsibly sexually active adult and you go to get tested, herpes is not included in the STI panel. So back to your comments, Hannah, back to other people that were saying you shouldn't have been promiscuous, you should have used a condom. Why are you normalizing herpes? I'm normalizing herpes because 80% of the population has herpes and we're not being tested for it. I'm saying that again, 80% of the people have herpes are not being tested for it. 90% of the people with genital herpes don't know they have it. So if we're out there having sex, we think that that person is quote unquote, I hate the word clean, they don't know that they have it. Yes, I have herpes. I have HSV1 and HSV2. So I'm going to go back through. If anybody else wants to throw one at me for telling me I should have been less promiscuous, I should have used a condom, this is why I have herpes, please throw that at me. And I am here on behalf of everybody that's living with herpes to help just break this down and deconstruct it. So let me go back through the questions that I've not answered that are really relative to people living with herpes, because I was busy talking about what it's like. I mean, you guys could see the comments about the stigma. Okay, so let me go back and answer your questions, and that's really my goal here, is to answer your questions. Okay, who does my eyebrows? I get them done in San Diego by Brasilia. Hi from North Carolina. Hi there. Yes, cold sores are herpes. How do you deal with the stigma? Well, I just dealt with it. How do I deal with the jokes in movies? You know, they don't really appeal to me, and I just look at it as people aren't aware that there's not aware of how common it is, and most people laughing at it have herpes too. They just don't know, or they will come in contact with it. Can you get it from your wife? Yeah, you can get it from your wife. You can get it from anybody that has HSV1 or HSV2. You've had herpes when I was young. After 20 years, can I still get it? If you have herpes, even though you haven't had an outbreak, you still have herpes. So you will have it for the rest of your life. There is no cure. You will have herpes for the rest of your life. Hi from New Jersey. Hi, New Jersey. I'm in Las Vegas. What are the early symptoms? So herpes the early symptoms resemble flu-like symptoms like swollen lymph nodes, overall achy feeling, could have a little bit of a fever, achy body. The area is probably going to be swollen. So whether you have oral or genital, it's going to be like a swollen area. And then you're going to start to feel itchies or tinglies. I like to say it's like a spider walking on the area. It can be itchy, and then it can be like a hot spot, almost like you snap a rubber band on your skin. And then blisters can show up. They can either be one blister, a cluster of blisters, or paper cuts. So you can look for that. That's why most people are misdiagnosed or not diagnosed with herpes. They think that like, oh, it's a paper cut, it's not herpes. It can be in other locations. We think of genital herpes. By the way, thank you for the hearts. I really appreciate that. We think that genital herpes is just on like the genitals. It can be on your butt. It can be on your tailbone. It can be on your hip. It can be on your inner thigh. It can be on your thigh. It can be on your hamstring. It can be really anywhere in that area. So that's why a lot of times too, it gets misdiagnosed. Can you be born with it? You can have it, it can be transmitted during birth, but it's not something that's hereditary or genetic. You don't like inherit it from a parent. You would have to be exposed with it. Yeah, back to the unprotectedness. Yeah. No, the speaker is God sent. I'm speaking to Abby. So speaking about God, I actually am working on my master's in theology. I'm actually working on my master's in Christian leadership, and I am a minister. So I can do pastoral counseling for anybody that would like that. As far as dealing with any feedback I have about God, or why would you talk about this, I'm happy to speak about that with you. One of my favorite things when it comes to the Bible is when people were throwing stones at a prostitute, and Jesus walked up and said, I ask you to cast the first stone for those of you that have not sinned. And I can tell you, anybody here that has been adding part of the stigma or saying that you should have used a condom, not directly to me, but to anybody here on this group or anybody living with herpes, I ask you to please step forward and say that you have always gotten an STI test. You've always gotten tested for herpes. You've always used a condom correctly every single time. I really ask you to step forward and say that that's potentially something that you've done. Just being monogamous doesn't make it safe or unsafe. Waiting to sleep with a virgin doesn't make it safe or unsafe. You can still come across herpes and get herpes even if you're not sexually active. So there's a lot of heavy things with the stigma because it has to do with sex, and we like to stigmatize sex. There's a reason there's a stigma. You should be safe. Absolutely. And being safe doesn't mean not sleeping around. It doesn't. We have this idea, and I'm not promoting sleeping around. I don't mean it that way. But we think like, oh, well, you get herpes or you get STIs because you sleep around. You get herpes because you're not confident when you're disclosing, when you're having conversations. You're not confident in your own self-worth. We assume that our partner has been tested. We assume our partner doesn't have any STDs based on the way they look. We assume that it's good to go. And unfortunately, with so many STIs out there, 1 out of 4 people has an STD. 1 out of 4. It's a lot of people. Me, like myself, mine's lifelong. It will never go away. There's a lot of people that get other STIs, STDs that do go away because they can take an antibiotic because it's bacterial, not viral. But I just want to redirect that safe thing. What does safe really mean? Safe means setting your own boundaries. Safe means getting tested and getting tested for STDs. Safe means having a conversation with a partner prior to sleeping with them, asking them to get tested, saying, let me see your test results, saying, are you getting tested for herpes? Being safe means that you need to set up parameters, saying, are we monogamous? Are we not monogamous? Are we sleeping with other people? Or are we not sleeping with other people? What do we feel comfortable with? Being safe is using a condom correctly and consistently and every single time. So many times we don't use condoms correctly. We either don't use them the entire time. Herpes, other STIs can be transmitted during foreplay without even having any sort of penetration. So how many of us out here that are accusing me and other people of being not safe always used a condom? Meaning when the foreplay starts? I don't think so, right? If we put the condom on the wrong side, we've all done that, like you put it on and then it doesn't roll down. You actually need to throw it away at that point because the fluid-based transmission for other STIs, I'm not talking about herpes, but for other ones, have already touched it. You turn it around, well, then you're just touching that fluid back to the other person. So how many of you guys have actually thrown away the condom? Or do you just like flip it over and use it? How many times have the condoms fallen off? How many times have you used it halfway through? So a lot of these times in saying we need to be safe, we don't actually know how to be safe. All these things I probably just rattled off, we didn't know because we're not taught this in school. I just want you all to know. So before we start like, oh, be safe, be safe, be safe, I really want you to identify what that means. Be safe means you need to communicate your expectations with your partner. You need to communicate with the other person. You need to set your own boundaries. All right, let me get back to answering these questions. I'm sorry, I have 90 new messages I need to get to. I apologize. I am not going to get to them all. You could get it from a cup. Yeah, you can actually get it from, here's my water bottle. Let's say I had an active outbreak and I give it to you. You could actually pick it up. That has nothing to do with sex. Okay. Some people aren't aware that cold sores are herpes. Absolutely. Love your message. Keep preaching, sis. More people need to understand. Absolutely. Herpes is so common. Even the adult industry testing centers do not test for it when they get I had no idea about that. Yeah, I mean, they probably don't, because it's so common. Uneducated people always have negative comments. They do. But hey, I'm just here to help support people, help educate you, help support you guys, because these comments are rude, and this is what keeps us feeling shameful. This is what keeps us from dating. This is what keeps us from living our best life and getting out there and going for what we want. Because we go, oh my gosh, I have herpes. People are going to judge me for it. Yeah, they are going to judge you for it, but they're also going to judge you for being successful and being you and doing what you love. Isn't the best way to get tested directly from the sore? Aren't blood tests less accurate? Yes and no. So if you have an active sore, then it is great to do a swab and get the viral DNA out of the swab. You're going to know what type you have, if you have type 1 or type 2. A blood draw, you're testing for the antibodies. So your antibodies have to show up. If you test too soon, like you just got your first outbreak, you're most likely going to test negative because the antibodies haven't been created. Once you have the antibodies in your body, the blood test is accurate. I mean, you're going to test positive. You have herpes and no signs, just test positive. How common is that? That is more common than people that have active outbreaks. Most people are asymptomatic. Most people have herpes and they're asymptomatic. So most people don't get outbreaks. That's why most people end up transmitting it and are unaware. Doctors don't test you unless you know you have a breakout due to what you're going through. Yeah, people don't test you. Thanks for the information. How did you find out you had herpes? I had full-on genital outbreak with blisters, and I tested positive, and the person I was dating tested positive. So he transmitted it to me while we were dating. Thank you for sharing your story. You're welcome. And thank you guys for sharing your story. Shingles and hives are related as well. Hives hurt and itch like crazy. I don't know about hives. There could be a herpes virus that causes hives. There's hundreds of herpes virus, but shingles is a chickenpox virus, which is also a herpes virus. And yes, chickenpox, Epstein-Barr, shingles are herpes virus. They won't even run test results. Thank you for the follows, you guys. Again, if this resonates with you, if you know someone that has herpes, please share this information with them, because this is why I'm doing this. I want to break the stigma and I want to be here to support. Am I in a relationship? I am married. I've been married for coming up on 5 years. My husband does not have herpes. I'm also a mom. My son does not have herpes. So, medications to take. So, medications you can take are the antiviral, which is prescribed to you by your doctor. The antiviral helps keep it dormant in your system. You can take it daily, or you can take it as a prophylactic to help prevent herpes outbreaks, or you can take it just when you have outbreaks. Typically, it's 500 milligrams once daily. If you have an outbreak, typically it's 1,000 milligrams, so 500 a.m., 500 p.m. As far as what I take daily, I don't take that. I go a little more natural. I go with Lysine and I go with Monolaurin. So Lysine helps prevent the virus from replicating. The herpes virus hates this, and it helps prevent the replication of it. This helps with the kind of deconstructing the virus. So enveloped viruses, which is a herpes virus, is an enveloped virus. Our immune systems can't penetrate an enveloped virus. There's like a shell around the virus. So this helps disrupt this outer shell, and then allows our immune system to get in and fight it. I have them both linked. You get 10% off. I take these daily. I swear by them. They're awesome. I'm going to answer one more question. I apologize. I have to go. My son has a doctor's appointment, so I've got to run. Can you please talk more about herpes with no symptoms? Yes. And, also, yes, I have HSV1 and HSV2. Can I talk about herpes with no symptoms? Basically, the virus goes in, it's dormant in your body. You can still transmit it, unfortunately. You can still transmit it through asymptomatic shedding, which means the virus sheds. Like any other living organism, a virus sheds. When that happens, it goes out of the nervous system, down our spinal cord, which is where it's dormant, travels along our nerves and goes to the surface of the skin, which is where we can unfortunately infect people. 70% of transmissions occur without an active outbreak. So I thank you guys for joining me. If you have any more questions, I'll go live again tomorrow. I actually really love this like heated debate here about being promiscuous. This is why you have herpes, all that. So again, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the hearts. Please share this with people that you feel need to hear it. And everything I talked about is linked in the bio. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.